Discover the incredible moment when a heartwarming proposal changes everything forever. Danny's heart raced as he knelt in the grass, surrounded by the bright lights of the town fair. The laughter of children and the scent of funnel cakes filled the air. This was it. This was the moment he had dreamt of. A moment he had rehearsed 1,000 times. He glanced at Lily, her smile lighting up the evening more than the fireworks exploding above them. In that split second, nothing else mattered. It was just Danny and the woman who had captivated his heart since childhood. Things had never been easy for Danny. At 28, he was still fixing cars in the garage his father had left behind. His hands were worn and grease-streaked, but every car he repaired felt like a testament to his resilience. His quiet strength came from caring for his single mother, a war veteran battling the ghosts of her service. Yet dreams lived in his chest, dreams of a life where he could love Lily openly and fearlessly. With the summer sun setting, everything seemed possible. He planned this proposal meticulously. Friends gathered around, all aware of the love brewing between the two. But just as he pulled the ring from his pocket, he saw the whispers erupt in the crowd, a storm of concern about his mounting financial struggles. Wasn't evicting them from their home enough? Now the offered hand of community support felt more like a reminder of how far he'd fallen. His heart sank. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Danny hesitated, ring trembling in his fingers, caught between love and despair. The townsfolk rallied behind him, but did they truly care? Would they see him as the strong mechanic and equal in their eyes? Or merely as a charity case in distress? A local tycoon, personifying all the riches they had struggled against, chimed in from the back, offering a financial solution that felt too easy, too convenient. The proposed lifeline dangled before him, a promise of relief, but at the cost of his pride. As the crowd's cheers morphed into murmurs, the weight of expectation pressed down on him. Each hopeful glance folded into the thick tension, and he felt sick. Was chasing love worth losing himself? The shadow of his past frustrations loomed larger than the night sky itself. At that very moment, it became clear that the proposal was more than just a ring. It was a commitment to integrity, strength, and the true meaning of worth. All eyes were glued to him as silence descended, eagerly waiting for his next move. Danny held the ring aloft, not just seeking to propose but to reclaim his own narrative in a world that had kept him small. What would he choose? A fleeting promise of safety, or the chance to love a woman who made his heart sing louder than any firework? As time slowed, anxiety and hope danced inside him, leaving his next words hanging heavy in the air, a question that would rewrite the story of his life, and perhaps even the spirit of his hometown forever. The crowd held its breath, their anticipation tangible. Danny felt the weight of 1,000 stares, piercing him like arrows. The ring glinted between his fingers, catching the last rays of the sunset as if it were urging him toward a decision. He wanted to shout yes, to love and joy, yet the echoes of doubt wrestled within him. Every fiber of his being screamed to grab this moment. He could see it in Lily's eyes, the shimmer of hope, the faith that he would choose her. But then he thought of his mother, her weary smile as she tried to conceal her struggles from him. If he accepted the community's help, would he still be the man she could be proud of? And more importantly, would it take Danny away from the dreams he had for them both? Suddenly, all the laughter around him felt distant. The carnival lights blurred as he locked eyes with Lily, whose face now mirrored the uncertainty that twisted in his gut. This was supposed to be the fairy tale moment, but it was rapidly becoming a nightmare of conflicting emotions. Danny, she whispered, almost as if sensing the storm raging inside him. He took a deep breath, steadied himself, and raised his voice for all to hear. I know things are tough, everyone knows that. But this moment he held up the ring is about more than just asking a question. He paused to collect himself. It's about love, respect, and a future that we build together, one that isn't dependent on charity or anyone else's approval. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, a mix of surprise and admiration. A sense of relief washed over him and he continued, This ring is a promise to you, Lily, not just a safety net. It's a commitment to reach for our dreams, no matter how hard it gets. Lily's eyes sparkled, her smile breaking through the tension like sunlight after a storm. That was it for Danny. He realized that if they faced every challenge together, those struggles wouldn't feel heavy at all. With determination fueling his heart, he dropped back down to one knee, feeling the cool earth against him, grounding him. Lily, will you marry me? He asked, this time with a confidence that echoed through the fairgrounds. A gasp resonated from the crowd, followed by a wave of supportive cheers. Lily's face brightened, her joy contagious. Yes, 1,000 times yes, she exclaimed, her voice soaring above the noise, coupling with his own jubilation. As he slipped the ring onto her finger, the crowd erupted, and Danny felt a sense of liberation wash over him. The weight of his mother's struggles and communal judgment melted away in Lily's joyous acceptance. For the first time in a long while, he could see the path ahead. The light was not just flickering, it was burning bright. But then from the back of the crowd, the wealthy tycoon stepped forward, a smirk on his face. Congratulations, but don't think this will let you off the hook. You still owe me for that loan. Danny's heart sank. The shadows of the past were far from faded, ready to loom over his newfound joy. How could he handle this new obstacle? What would it mean for their future? As darkness quietly draped over the fairground, questions hung thickly in the air, unsettling yet hopeful. What would he choose to do next within the storm brewing beyond their joy? Danny's celebration stumbled. The cheers that initially filled the air felt like shards of glass against the chill of his heart. He glanced at Lily, her face still glowing with sheer happiness, and for a brief moment, he wished he could bottle that joy. But the smirk on the tycoon's face shattered that illusion, pressing heavy upon him. Back off! Danny shouted, the defiance surprising even himself. He stood to confront the man, fueled by anger and desperation. The crowd felt smaller now, each person holding their breath, waiting for the next move in this unfolding drama. What's wrong? Can't you afford to celebrate? The tycoon taunted, his eyes dancing with amusement. We'll sort this out, don't worry, Danny said, forcing the words past a throat tightened by anxiety. He took a step forward, grounding himself with every stride. Lily deserves better than your threats. But the tycoon only chuckled. Oh, I'm sure she does. But the world doesn't work on dreams and fairy tales. You owe me, Danny. And it won't just disappear just because you've put a ring on her finger. Danny's jaw clenched. The bitterness of the encounter was enough to sour the sweetness of the proposal still echoing in his mind. With each moment, the crushing weight of responsibility pressed down harder. Frustration bubbled in his chest. Was this what it meant to be an adult? To constantly battle against a tide of doubt? Lily, sensing the shift, stepped beside him, her hand finding his. Ignore him, Danny. We'll figure this out together. Her voice was steady but held a hint of concern beneath its surface. Together, he echoed softly, the word floating around them like a fragile balloon. Beautiful yet vulnerable. Together with her seemed possible. Together with the tycoon's threats was another story entirely. As he pulled Lily closer, the crowd whispered around them, voices mingling in a tide of opinions. Each judgment hung in the air, ready to fall like dominoes. Danny's heart raced. The suffocation of it all pushed him to the brink. I'm not afraid of you, he said, leveling his gaze at the tycoon. What I owe you doesn't define who I am. I won't let it control our lives. A moment passed, thick with uncertainty. The crowd watched spellbound. Danny felt the warmth of Lily's fingers intertwining with his, an anchor as he faced the looming figure before them. Their hearts beat as one, defiant against the world that demanded conformity. Brave words, the tycoon replied, amusement still lingering, but the smirk was now dulled. But life isn't so simple, boy. Let me remind you, if you refuse to meet my terms, I'll make sure you regret it. For both you and her. Danny's chest tightened, the stakes rising to unacceptable heights. He had always put others first. His mother's struggles, the community's expectations, and now Lily's happiness. But at what cost? Suddenly, an idea sparked something that could shift the entire narrative. Maybe I'll make my own terms, he said, tension igniting in his voice. His voice carried conviction, mingled with uncertainty. Lily turned to him, surprise illuminating her features. What do you mean? Danny took a deep breath, the crowd buzzing around him. Perhaps it wasn't enough to simply counter the tycoon's threats. What if he took control of his future for real? I'll find a way to pay you, but it has to be on my terms from here on out for us. The tycoon's eyes narrowed, calculating. Do you really believe you can turn the tide? I'd love to hear your plan. With a deepening resolve ignited by love and hope, Danny felt the rush of an unfurling possibility. It would take everything he had to rise from the grips of fear and make a choice. As the carnival lights sparkled against the encroaching darkness, Danny understood. This was just the beginning of a much larger battle. He could feel the weight of challenges ahead, and the thrill of embracing the unknown sent adrenaline surging through his veins. What if he could forge a new path, one where he wasn't just running from the past, but stepping boldly into the future? Could love and resilience turn this storm into something that linked rather than frayed their lives? With that thought lighting his way, he faced the tycoon, heart pounding, ready to fight for what truly mattered. What would be the cost of taking back control? The answer would unfold in the coming days, and for the first time, he felt himself ready to pay it. Danny held his breath, the crowd around him fading into a blur. With every heartbeat, his mind raced through possibilities, an unsteady mix of hope and fear. He had never felt burdened and liberated at the same time. Lily squeezed his hand tighter, grounding him. The warmth of her touch sparked a flicker of courage within him. What do you need to do? She asked, her voice steady, a contrast to the chaos around them. I don't know yet, Danny admitted, fear creeping back into his tone. I might need to take a loan or find a partner. Someone who can help me tackle this. The idea formed on his lips, but it felt like shaky ground beneath his feet. Whatever it takes, she said, determination shining in her eyes. The tycoon smirked, crossing his arms. Alone? From whom? You think anyone will lend to someone with your history? You're dreaming, boy. Not if I give them a reason to bet on me, Danny responded, the glimmer of an idea dancing in his mind. They'll see what we're building. I'll make it appealing. You're amusing. The tycoon leaned in, eyes narrowing. But delusion and ambition look so similar from afar. And I assure you they don't always turn into success stories. Danny inhaled deeply, ready to defy the man still towering over him. They will see. I just need to find the right people. Besides, what if I work the angles the right pitch? I can build something of value, something that changes everything. This caught the tycoon off guard. He hesitated, if only for a split second. You're taking a big risk. It won't just be your neck on the line, and neither will it be just hers. Think wisely. Your threats don't scare me, Danny replied, the fire inside him igniting even brighter. Not anymore. Lily's eyes shone with pride. Her belief in him in this moment fueled his resolve. He was no longer just a scared young man clinging to dreams. He was on the verge of stepping into his own power. The crowd seemed to lean closer now, buzzing with energy. Danny caught snippets of whispered encouragement, the shift in the atmosphere pulling him forward. I'll be back in touch with my plan. He turned to leave, heart thumping, battling a whirlwind of doubt mixing with excitement. The tycoon laughed, a deep rumbling sound. A plan is only as good as its execution. Keep dreaming, Danny. As they walked away, fingers intertwined, the world beyond the carnival lights felt brighter. Do you really think you can pull this off? Lily asked, glancing at him with a mix of hope and worry. I have to believe I can, he replied, knowing deep down the price of failure would now mean something far more significant than just himself. For us, I can't back down. Days turned into weeks, filled with brainstorming sessions, sleepless nights, and relentless determination. Danny dove into research, networking events, and every resource he could harness. Together with Lily, they crafted pitches, leaned on their community, and built small connections that could lead to bigger opportunities. Every acceptance felt like a small victory. Every rejection stung. Yet the sense of purpose drove him, carving a path through the challenges like a steady current against a turbulent sea. But as the momentum built, so did the pressure. The tycoon loomed in the background, a constant reminder of the stakes. Each step forward was matched with whispers of doubt, both from him and others who doubted, strangers like Danny. Then came the moment that would change everything. A few days before the big pitch, Danny stumbled upon a secret angle that could tip the balance in his favor. It was a potential partnership with someone influential, a connection that could bring both funding and legitimacy to his dream. The rush of excitement was electrifying, but doubt crept in, whispering its familiar tune. Was he ready for this leap? Could he seize the opportunity and turn it into something real? As he pondered, Lily showed up with hopeful eyes. "What's on your mind?" "I think I've found a way," he said cautiously. "But?" Her brow furrowed, sensing the hesitation. "I just need to figure out how to convince them and, what if he tries to mess with it? What if I fail?" The weight of the moment hung between them. Would he take that leap of faith or hold back, paralyzed by fear? With Lily's supportive gaze anchoring him, he felt the stirrings of courage grow. It was now or never. As he faced this for the first time, he realized this was just the beginning. One bold move could bring everything crashing down or lead to a miraculous rebirth. Did he have the strength to take that plunge? Would he find the courage to turn that opportunity into something extraordinary? The next step loomed large before him, and he could either walk away or step forward into the unknown. Danny stood in front of the buzzing cafe. His stomach twisted in knots. This wasn't just any meeting. He was about to pitch his dream to the influential person he'd been told could change everything, a venture capitalist known for spotting the next big thing. The flash of doubt whispered in his ear again, slicing through his resolve. What if the tycoon had been right? What if nobody would believe in him? "Hey, breathe," Lily whispered, breaking through his spiraling thoughts. Her fingers gently rubbed the back of his neck, the simple gesture grounding him. "You've worked hard for this moment. Trust yourself." I know, Danny nodded, though the words felt heavy. It all rests on this." "Exactly. Just remember why you started. You want to make the world better together." The reminder warmed him. He took a deep breath, nodding slowly as he felt Lily's strength wrap around him like a protective shield. This was their dream, not just his. Inside the cafe, Danny's pulse quickened. The rich aroma of coffee and baked goods filled the air, but he was focused on the man sitting in the corner. An imposing figure, the investor had an air of confidence adorned with a slightly worn blazer and a keen gaze that missed nothing. "Why don't you go over our projected outcomes one more time?" Lily suggested, her voice a soothing melody amid the chaos of his racing thoughts. He felt cornered on the brink of something huge. As he approached the table, he summoned a smile. "Thanks for meeting with me," Danny said, hoping to infuse his voice with the enthusiasm that burned inside. "Get on with it," the investor replied, eyes scanning his notes without a hint of warmth. "Right, so," Danny started, forcing himself to focus. "My project innovates community access to renewable energy. It's not just profitable. It empowers people to break free from dependence on costly utilities." He delivered the words with a surge of passion he didn't know he had, excitement dancing in his chest. A flicker of interest crossed the investor's face. "And your target market?" Danny launched into the plan, fueled by the weight of Lily's unwavering belief. He detailed the partnership that could secure funding and resources, each word feeling like a step forward. But then the investor raised an eyebrow. "And what's your contingency plan? What happens if this doesn't sell?" "Failure is not an option for me," Danny replied earnestly. "I'll adapt. I have a community ready to get involved, give feedback and pivot as needed." "Community? People backing you? They'll drop you the second something doesn't go well." The investor chuckled dismissively. Danny's heart sank. The words dripped with skepticism, the kind that burrowed deep into his mind. But there was no room for self-doubt, not now. "Actually, they won't," Danny shot back, holding his ground. "This isn't just a business idea for me. This is a movement. People are tired of being stuck, they want change. With their support, I don't just think we can succeed, I know it." Silence filled the air, heavy and charged. Danny could feel Lily's eyes burning on him, waiting, hoping. Finally, the investor leaned back, fingers steepled. "You've got moxie, I'll give you that. But moxie alone isn't enough. Then let us make it work," Danny implored, desperation breaking through. Before the investor could respond, a commotion erupted outside that stole everyone's attention. A child's laughter, mixed with the sound of air horns and shouts, echoed from the street. Curiosity momentarily distracted them. "What's going on out there?" the investor questioned, leaning toward the window. Danny seized the opportunity as the man looked away, turning toward Lily, who stared back at him. Her eyes were wide, filled with anxiety, but there was something else there too. Something hopeful. This was scary. Every inch of his body screamed to walk away, but he couldn't. Not now. Not after everything. The investor turned back, ready to dismiss him entirely. You've got a few minutes left, but Danny interrupted, deterministic. I want to show you what this means. Let us not just talk numbers. Let us talk impact. He glanced back toward the ruckus outside, a burst of ideas brewing. What if we brought the community into this pitch? A rally right here, right now. Show you real people, real passion. The investor blinked, taken aback, and for the first time, there was a flicker of intrigue behind the skepticism. Are you serious? He asked, a hint of challenge in his tone. Dead serious, Danny replied, heart hammering in his chest. The words hung in the air, a daring proposal that could either ignite everything or shatter it all. Would the investor climb on board for this unconventional idea? Fine, the investor said slowly. But if you fail to deliver, Danny caught Lily's eye and felt an undeniable rush. No backing down. I'll get them here. As he dashed out of the cafe, adrenaline surged through him. A community rally in the middle of a pitch? He could either be a fool or a visionary. Would this gamble pay off? Or would it become nothing more than a distant memory of dreams unrealized? The choice loomed just as large as the crowd gathered outside. Danny burst through the cafe door, the vibrant commotion outside immediately enveloping him. The sounds of laughter and enthusiasm filled the air as if the entire world had conspired to cheer him on. He scanned the scene. People of all ages rallied in the park across the street, waving colorful banners, their faces alight with hope. This was it. This was what he needed to show the investor. Hey, you guys! Danny shouted, his heart racing. A few curious faces turned his way, and he waved his arms, trying to draw them in. He could see an opportunity taking shape, but he needed to harness this energy fast. He turned back to the investor, who had reluctantly followed him outside. You see that? That's real. That's passion. The investor crossed his arms, skepticism etched on his face. And how do you plan to showcase it? Flashing a smile, Danny thought through the movements in his mind. I'll get them together. Just give me 5 minutes. With renewed determination, he sprinted toward the gathering crowd, the thud of his heart equal to the bustling street sounds. He knew how to rally people. He had done it before. Who here wants to change their world? Danny yelled, adrenaline buzzing through every inch of his being. A few people turned their heads, curious. Join me. We're bringing hope and energy to this pitch. A few younger folks, teens with bright shirts, moved closer, intrigued enough to cheer. What's going on? One of them shouted back. I'm pitching a project that will transform how our community uses energy. I need your voices. Can you help me show them what we believe in? The teens exchanged glances, processing the urgency. One of them nodded, a contagious enthusiasm sparking in their eyes. Let us do it. They started to gather others, and soon a small group formed around Danny. Incredibly, the rally grew, a spontaneous collection of people who had come for coffee but now rallied behind a common cause. He felt the weight of hope wash over him. This was not just his dream anymore. It was theirs. Moments later, he faced the investor again, who had taken a step closer, intrigued by the unfolding scene. Look, Danny called to the young crowd. Stand together if you believe in a sustainable future. He raised his hand and like a wave, hands shot up, palms open and ready. The energy surged, laughter mixing with cheers, as a few of the teens grabbed makeshift signs, scribbling phrases like energy for everyone and hope local. They waved them proudly, drawing even more attention. Danny's heart soared. The investor was watching now, caught off guard by the unexpected excitement. Danny seized on the moment, stepping forward modestly. Folks, this is what it's all about. It's more than a business plan. It's the passion of our community. They want change and we can bring it together. Several voices raised without prompting. Yes, we want to fight for our future. Danny nodded, feeling an electric connection with every person around him. Together we can hold ourselves accountable. This isn't just a pitch, it's a movement. And movements begin with every single one of us. As he turned back to the investor, he could see a glimmer of doubt transforming into something else. The man's eyes were wide, clearly processing the energy pulsating through the crowd. Okay, the investor said slowly, a rare spark of intrigue dancing in his gaze. Let us see where this goes. But you need to bring this energy. Not just today. I want to see it sustained. Danny felt a rush of gratitude mixed with adrenaline. Absolutely. I promise you won't regret it. He turned back to the crowd, a wild idea bubbling up. We need a plan. If we succeed, we'll change everything. Who else with me? A chorus of "We are" echoed back, their voices blending into a chaotic symphony of excitement that resonated through him. He had stepped into uncharted territory, and it felt exhilarating as they began to brainstorm right there in the park. Danny felt the weight lift off his shoulders. For the first time, he understood that they were all part of something bigger. But as the sun began to dip lower in the sky, an unsettling thought crept in. What if the challenge ahead was more significant than he had anticipated? He looked out at the crowd, now gathered closer, and wondered if they were all truly ready for this journey ahead. The stakes had risen, and so had their hopes. With the crowd cheering behind him, Danny's heart raced, uncertain of what tomorrow would bring. The energy crackled in the air as Danny surveyed the group gathered around him. Every face was full of anticipation and passion, their enthusiasm weaving a tangible thread among them. It was a moment he had only dreamed of, people coming together, united by a single vision of a sustainable future. Okay, everyone, Danny called out, his voice cutting through the murmurs. We need to organize ourselves. How about we break into smaller teams? One for social media, another for community outreach, and a few for funding strategies. A wave of nods and excited murmurs followed. The teens quickly broke off into groups, their determination evident in the way they collaborated and exchanged ideas. Danny watched, awe filling him as he realized he had sparked something powerful as they worked. The sun dipped lower, casting a warm glow on the scenes unfolding around him. Ideas sprouted like flowers breaking through the ground. Laughter accompanied earnest discussions, reminding Danny that they weren't just pursuing a business plan, they were igniting hope. Danny, one of the teens, Mia, called out from the social media corner. What about a hashtag? Something that can unify us online? I love it, he shouted back. How about power and unity? Everyone nodded, some jotting it down on their notepads, some already typing it into their phones. The hashtag felt like a rallying cry, a way to extend their movement beyond the park. But even amidst the joy, doubts nagged at the edge of Danny's mind. An overwhelming sense of responsibility tugged at him. There was so much at stake. What if they couldn't sustain this energy? What if the investor still didn't see the potential? Just then, a little girl broke away from her mother, her curious eyes fixed on Danny. Are you really going to change the world? She asked, her voice innocent but brimming with hope. Danny knelt down to her level, his heart swelling at the sincerity in her gaze. I'm going to try, he replied softly. But I can't do it alone. I need a team. She smiled, a grin that reminded him of the pure potential in every child. Then I'll help. I can tell my friends at school. Before he knew it, she had dashed off, her tiny feet pounding against the pavement. Danny felt a mix of heartache and motivation surge within him. This wasn't just about adults plotting solar panels anymore. It was about a new generation ready to fight for their future. As the brainstorming continued, Danny's phone buzzed in his pocket. He glanced down, seeing a message pop up from the investor. This energy is promising. Keep it going, but stay focused. Arrange a follow-up tomorrow. The weight of his words lingered in the air. They were on the brink of something incredible. But the reality check sent a tremor through him. Hey, can we keep up this momentum? He called out, gathering everyone's attention again. We need to finish our discussions before today ends. Everyone here needs to commit to real actions. The crowd fell quiet, the shift palpable. Each member looked around, recognizing the gravity of their choice. Danny's heart beat a wild rhythm as the crowd started to speak one by one, each promising to do their part. New ideas flew through the air like sparks, igniting enthusiasm. But as their voices mixed together, a small voice in the back piped up with uncertainty. What if we fail? That question hung in the air like a stubborn cloud, casting a shadow over the hopeful glow. Feeling the weight of that doubt, Danny took a deep breath. What if we do? Failure isn't the end. It's just a lesson. Together we can rise again. His words felt like a balm, soothing the fleeting fears. Each person in the crowd nodded with renewed resolve as the excitement reignited them. Danny knew this wasn't merely about their project. It was about their hearts and dreams intertwining. But as they prepared to close out the gathering, anticipation hung heavy. What would tomorrow bring? Would the investor see the same vision they all shared? The feeling of uncertainty loomed as the last rays of sunshine dipped below the horizon. Danny stood at the center of this newfound community, a sense of possibility sparkling in the air. What came next would determine if their dreams could soar, or if they would crumble under pressure. He took a deep breath, ready to lead them one step further. Would they be ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead? The journey was just beginning. The next day dawned crisp and bright, birds chirping outside Danny's window as a warm breeze swept through the trees. He sat on the edge of his bed, heart racing with a mixture of excitement and dread. Today was crucial. The investor's follow-up was looming, and their fledgling team was counting on him to deliver. He gulped down his breakfast, barely tasting it. His mind was a flurry of thoughts, running through the potential questions the investor might ask. What if they wanted numbers he didn't have? What if the passion they felt here didn't translate into a business pitch? Slipping into a well-worn hoodie, he stepped outside, letting the fresh air calm him. The park, a space that had transformed into a cradle of hope and collaboration, just yesterday was waiting for him. Mia was already there, bouncing on the balls of her feet, her head bobbing as she waved excitedly. "Danny, I told my friends at school. They all love the idea." Her voice, full of energy, pulled him from his worries. "That's fantastic, Mia. How many?" he asked, curiosity piquing. A lot. Like 10 or something." Her eyes sparkled. "They want to help. One of them can make cool art to spread the word. And a few can help with social media stuff." Danny felt his heart swell with pride. If this little girl could spread hope, surely he could do the same. He noticed more people were arriving, some from his gathering the day before, but others had come because of rumors. The energy was palpable as they organized themselves. Someone suggested hosting a rally to gain more attention. "Let us show everyone what we're about," exclaimed Jules, a bold teenager with a radiant smile. "Absolutely. We can get our message across better with a rally," Danny agreed, enthusiasm bubbling once more. But doubt still curled in the corners of his mind. What if they couldn't pull it off? The group was young and inexperienced. How could they make this event impactful? As they began to brainstorm logistics, Josh, a thoughtful boy who had quietly observed, turned to Danny. "What if we shared our personal stories? Isn't that what makes our mission real? Connects people." That struck Danny like lightning. "You're right, Josh. We need to show why this matters. If we can bring people into our vision, it becomes theirs too." The energy peaked again with renewed vigor. Ideas soared as they spoke passionately about their homes, families, and the environment they cherished. Stories woven through laughter and shared moments filled the space, creating a web of connection as they worked feverishly. Danny's phone buzzed. It was a reminder for his meeting. "Okay, everyone, I have to head out in a bit. Keep pushing forward. I'll see you at the rally," he said, trying to infuse confidence into the words. But as he walked away, doubts resurfaced. Had he prepared enough? Would he manage to convey the fire within them? Would the investor get it? As he approached the cafe where the meeting was set to take place, Danny took a moment outside, closing his eyes and grounding himself. He pictured Mia, the other teens, and their dreams. He took a deep breath and spoke softly to himself. "I can do this. We can do this." Stepping inside, he greeted the investor, who was already seated, a tablet in hand. "Danny, good to see you. I'm eager to hear what you've achieved so far." With his heart pounding, Danny replied, "I have some exciting ideas I think you'll love." As he shared their vision, a flicker of hope ignited within him. But as the investor's brow furrowed slightly during one of the discussions, Danny felt the tension rise. Could he turn this around? Would this be the breakthrough they all desperately needed? He needed to convince not just the investor but himself too. The weight of their dreams hung in the balance. What if this meeting could lead to unforeseen consequences, both for him and his team? Would they rise or fall amidst the challenge? As Danny made his pitch, he held tight to their shared moments of hope, waiting for the pivotal reaction that could change everything. Danny's pulse quickened as he laid out his ideas, infusing every word with the passion radiating from the group he led. He spoke about the rally, the personal stories that made them who they were, and how their project could genuinely impact the community. The investor listened intently, but Danny could feel the scrutiny in the air. Interesting concept, the investor said, tilting his head slightly. But can you give me specifics? What are the numbers? What's the projected reach? How do we know this isn't just a fleeting moment of enthusiasm? Danny felt his stomach drop. He had prepared for many scenarios, but questions like this had terrified him most. Well, we're still gathering data, but he stammered, feeling the need to scramble for the words. People are excited. They want to get involved. He paused, letting the crowd's energy echo in his mind. She's just a kid, but she rallied 10 friends. Imagine what we could do with more momentum. The urgency in his voice surprised even him. The investor raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. That's great, but how does that translate to sustainable growth? Can you turn this into a business model? Danny took a deep breath. His team needed him to connect the dots between their lofty dreams and practical reality. But in that moment he felt like he was grasping at mist. The crunch of numbers and analytics felt light years away from the warmth he had shared with Mia and the others. What if I could show you? He proposed suddenly, his desperation morphing into a spark of creativity. What if we put together a small presentation for the rally? We can show you live engagement, gather real testimonials. The raw impact of connection. The investor leaned back in his chair, contemplating. Danny's heart raced. He was, after all, right? They had something different, the kind of genuine energy that metrics couldn't always quantify. Interesting proposition, the investor mused, still considering. But it's risky. You're committing time and resources without guaranteed results. I know it's risky, Danny replied, voice steadying with resolve. But so is not believing in something that could better our community. We want to show change, not just talk about it. For a moment, silence enveloped the cafe. The investor studied him, the flickering shadows of doubt playing across his face. Was Danny breaking through? Hope surged, igniting a fire of resilience within him. All right, I'll give you a chance, the investor said, finally leaning forward. Create that presentation for the rally, and let us see how it goes. But remember, I'll be watching closely. Danny felt as if the emotional gears within him had shifted. Hope poured back in, lifting him as he stood to shake the investor's hand. You won't regret it. This is just the beginning. As he stepped outside, the cool breeze washed over him, a stark contrast to the whirlwind he'd just endured. He thought of Mia's excitement, Josh's insightful contributions, and the rally soon unfolding. Back at the park, his team was buzzing with anticipation, not yet knowing what had transpired. Danny's heart raced, thinking about how he would relay the news. Guys, he called out as he neared. You're not going to believe what just happened. The anticipation and nervous energy that filled the air was intoxicating. He took a moment, looking around at the mixed faces, hope, eagerness, some apprehension. Today's meeting was a success, he announced, and cheers erupted. But we need to work harder than ever. We have a rally to prepare. As the realization sank in, someone shouted from the back. What's the plan? He paused, feeding off their excitement. Ideas began to swirl in his mind. How do they translate this opportunity into something real? In that moment he realized they were on the brink of something much bigger than themselves. But the road ahead was nothing short of daunting. With doubt creeping back in amidst the thrill, he couldn't shake the nagging question. Would they really be able to capture that spark and make it last? And deep down, Danny wondered, at what cost would success demand? The day of the rally arrived, buzzing with a vitality that sent whispers of excitement through the streets. Danny stood in the park, surrounded by vibrant banners and an electric crowd, feeling the weight of all their hopes pressing against his chest. Mia was bouncing on her feet, her enthusiasm contagious, while a small team of teens organized last-minute posters, their determination evident as the sun peeked out from behind the clouds, casting a warm glow on the gathering. Danny felt a surge of optimism. They had worked tirelessly, fueled by a shared dream that had morphed into a mighty tidal wave of belief. Still, uncertainty lingered. Did they have what it took to convince the investor and themselves that this could become something sustainable, something that changed lives? Okay, everybody, Danny called out, raising his voice to pierce through the chatter. Are we ready to show the world what we're capable of? The crowd erupted with cheers, an explosion of energy that shot straight to his heart. He looked around, taking in the faces no longer just neighbors but a solid team, each one committed to a brighter future. It was time to show the investor the raw power of community. As the rally kicked off, the teens shared their stories, voices filled with emotion, laying bare their dreams and frustrations. Josh spoke about energy costs, eating into his family's savings. Mia chimed in, recounting her vision for a world where even the smallest voices could create change. The crowd resonated with each tale, their collective passion palpable, creating a symphony of hope. Danny stepped up, heart racing. "Do you see this?" he shouted, gesturing to the rapt audience. "This isn't just a pitch. It's a movement." The crowd echoed back with a resounding cheer. "Together we can inspire a shift not just in our homes, but in how we treat our planet." His words ignited flames within them. They raised their banners, chants of solidarity rising like smoke signals of change. The thrill of unity enveloped them, an invisible thread weaving. They were all part of something truly special. Through the laughter and cheers, he felt a warm buzz, the shyness of doubt slipping away. Suddenly, he spotted the investor in the crowd, a discerning gaze fixed on the proceedings. Doubts flared up again, but he pushed them down. This was their moment. "We may be small, but our voices are mighty. We're not just asking for a business. We're asking for a future we can all believe in." The crowd erupted as he paused, collecting his breath and their energy. "If we don't fight for what we believe in, the future will be dictated by those who don't care. Together we'll show them we can take control." An overwhelming wave of cheers and applause erupted. It was electric, a feeling of being united beyond dreams and requirements. This was about more than numbers. It was about the spirit of a community rising to meet its challenges. Then the wind shifted. From behind him, he heard the investor stepping forward, clearing his throat to speak. There was tension, a pause in the air as all eyes turned toward him. "You've convinced me more than I anticipated," he said, an air of respect somewhat softened by surprise. "But remember, this isn't just about enthusiasm. It's about execution." He looked directly at Danny, his steady gaze revealing a hint of respect. "I want to see numbers, commitment, the whole planning. Show me this passion isn't just flammable for today, but sustainable for the long haul." Danny's heart raced, feeling the fire of challenge ignite deep within him. "You have my word. We'll build it together," he declared, the weight of responsibility settling solidly on his shoulders. The crowd erupted once more, not just cheering for him, but for the future themselves. He turned back to them, soaking in the joy and hope radiating from their faces. They were all in this together. And with each challenge they faced, they learned to rise. As the rally wrapped up, laughter and shared excitement filled the air, mingled with plans for tomorrow. Danny's heart swelled with gratitude. For Lily's unwavering support, for every encouraging soul that stood by him, and for the realization that love and community could conquer the deepest struggles. In the days that followed, they dove deep into their plan. Numbers and strategies, community engagement and timelines tangled with passion. There were tough moments of self-doubt, and even fear every time a door seemed to close. But as they pushed through, they built something real, a framework reinforced by hope, by relationships, by a narrative that was no longer just Danny's, but one they all shared. As the weeks rolled into months, the project blossomed. The community came together, each individual adding their own strengths, and collectively, they transformed a dream into reality. The investors and partners noticed. Their small successes turned into larger ones, and soon the whispers of doubt were replaced with excitement, a tangible change in their world. Danny stood once more in the park, looking back at the faces around him. This time he wasn't just dreaming. He was building, leading with love and vision. "We did this together," he said, and the heartfelt choruses of agreement felt like every burden of the past had lifted, leaving behind pure joy. In that moment, he understood. It wasn't about losing his identity to the shadows of struggles. It was about embracing them and lighting a path forward. As they rallied once more, laughter and love infused the air around him. He felt invincible. And it was time to take another leap. Now it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.